What's going on? You already know I hate long intros, so we're going to get into it. The other day, I got a text message from a friend who said that they liked this track, Slaine featuring Ill Bill, When the War Ends. He likes the hook of the song and the signal processing chain that they used on it, and he wanted to emulate it for another track that he has. He said it kind of sounded intricate, kind of sounded like a telephone distortion effect with some slap delay or something. So I'm challenging myself to try to emulate it. So we're going to listen to it and check it out. We're going to analyze this.
I guess I never had a chance. Now I'm looking back, standing at the bottom of an avalanche. We never know what tomorrow brings. Try to be prepared for when sorrow sinks. The Lord taketh and the Lord gives. The rhyme's still aching when the war ends. We never know what tomorrow brings.
So I definitely get the delay. It sounds like it's a 1/4 delay, a quarter note delay. There's definitely some distortion or some heavy parallel compression on there. As far as the telephone distortion effect, it's probably just some low and high cuts. Traditional telephone distortion effect has a filter passing at 4 hertz and usually at about 4 kilohertz. So like 4 to 4,000 are the two cutoffs there, and you leave everything in the middle. That's usually, so yeah, I was going to listen to it one more time. See.
Looking back, standing at the bottom of an avalanche. We never know what tomorrow brings. Try to be prepared for when sorrow sinks. The Lord taketh and the Lord gives. The rhyme's still aching.
You can hear it clear, so it definitely sounds like there's some parallel compression going on there. So let's see if we can figure this out. All right, we're going to get into this. I got this track here. I just did a basic through a drum break up here from our Sun God Drums Volume 1 kit, and just took the basic melody of the song just for continuity, so it kind of sounds the same. And I did a vocal take of his hook. Obviously, I don't have the same voice as Slaine, but I have it dry here. I'll play it here. And I just did the first 2 parts of the hook, so we're not doing the whole thing. So check it out.
We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sinks. We never know what the world brings.
All right, so that's that. So my buddy said that he thought there was a telephone distortion effect. I'm not sure if that's the case. I have both of these vocal tracks. I'll get into this muted one later. Bust into my hook bus, as I've showed you in another tutorial how I kind of do my bus routing before I even start mixing a track. So my hook bus is going into my main acapella. And I pretty much have a 2-track of the acapella and instrumental if I want going to my master. So on this hook bus, here's everything processed. I'm going to throw up just a basic EQ.
Try to be prepared for when
right here, and we're going to emulate that telephone effect that he thought might be on here. So a telephone effect usually cuts everything off below 4 hertz and cuts just about everything off above 4 kilohertz, or technically 4,000 hertz. So here I'm just going to grab my 4 low cut. I'm going to make it a little sharper. And then we're going to grab the 4 again. It doesn't have to be super accurate. Just to show you, this is pretty much what a telephone effect is. If I could even dial that in. So.
When the sorrow sinks, we never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sinks. We never know what the world brings.
So his original hook, there was a brightness in there, but it still sounded gritty and distorted, which is why I think they just used parallel compression with some distortion. So I'm going to pull this out a little bit, but I will leave some of this here because I want to cut off some of the frequencies. We'll do it like 2 and 7.
Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sinks. We never know what the world brings.
Right, we'll just start it off there. So to do my parallel compression, I use, obviously, Studio One. It might be different than others. Every system has its own routing, but the principles are the same. So I'm going to pull up an FX channel. That's what they call them in here. An FX channel is pretty much like an FX routing bus on a console. So the FX channel, I'm going to rename FX Paracomp, which means parallel compression. Now, you see my FX channel by default is routed to my main. What I like to do is, since the FX channel is going to be taking the effect and applying it to the original signal, but not on the original signal, it actually makes a clone of it. I want to have a true volume reading on my meters. So what I do is I create a new bus for all my FX channels, and I'm going to call this FX vocal bus. So this is the FX channels for all my buses, and I'm going to throw it right before the acapella just to show you kind of the order that things are happening here. So we have our original signal, which is right here. All right, I'm going to turn it off. Original signal, which is right here with all my inserts.
Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never
So that's
know.
the original signal going to my acapella. We also have a clone of it right here, and any effects I throw on here are going to process this, but it's a copy of it. It's not the original source that it's actually affecting. And that is going to be routing to here. So this is going to be literally just my FX on a bus itself. And those effects I'm going to throw into the acapella. So essentially I have the parallel of the two both routing into here, which gives me a truer volume. And you'll see when I throw it in what I mean by getting a true volume. So I'm just going to throw on, let's use, Sound Toys has some nice stuff. Decapitator. Let's do some vocals. Modern Drive, mix some edge, angry. Let's go some angry vocals, which is a high drive, the low cut, the tone's brighter. Let's make it darker tone. And this right here is going to be the percentage of the signal that I'm going to be blending in of this, blending in with the copy of this. So here we go. Watch, listen. I'm going to start at 0 and I'm going to start dragging it up. And you're going to hear the super compressed signal here slowly fade in. It's like a wet dry, if you will.
What the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings.
So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a little distortion to this as well. I'm not going to get carried away with it, but let's just use grind is cool. You know what? I'm not going to use grind. I'm going to use just the stock. The stock from Studio One, Red Light District. I'm going to take my mix all the way up. Here's my drive.
We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings.
Telephone effect off. So this is more clear, and then I have this dirty compressed signal mixing into it. And you still hear the clarity of this signal as well, because it's a completely different signal path.
We never know what the world...
This right here is adding all this volume. I want it to be affected on the acapella, which is why I do this bus here. I never really adjust this volume, but I just want this to represent instead of only having... So here if I have... Here's my meter.
Try to be prepared for when the sorrow
Here's my meter of
sings.
the vocals. When I turn this on, my meter would be the same if this was routed to the main. That's why I route it here.
We never know what
Louder it is, so I want a true gauge of the meter, which is why I also route the FX box through my acapella bus.
the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings.
That's good. Let's actually cut off some more of the high here.
We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings.
All right, so we got that going there. Now there was this delay effect, and I cut this up just to kind of show it to you. This is the word world brings, then
Sorrow
sorrow
sings.
I cut this up. I would normally do this with automation, but I did this so you could visually see what's going on. It's on a 1/4 tap delay, which means every quarter note is when the delay kicks in and when it repeats. So it'd be like,
Know know what the world brings.
So this would be here. So I'm just going to move these over. Like I said, I would normally just automate this main track, but I want you to visually see this here. So this is where the echo would technically be hitting. So it'd be like...
Never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings.
So there's that, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn the volume of this down. I'm going to do that on that track. I'm going to do this telephony thing that you're talking about. But I'm actually going to commit to it a little closer. And we're going to throw the same thing. We're going to throw this distortion, parallel compression on here, right here. And we're going to blend that in with that signal.
We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared
There's
for...
also a delay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a delay on here as well. We're just going to do the stock for Studio One because everyone has their own go-to delays. And I'm just going to, it's already dialed in, 1/4, quarter beat, feedback mix, maybe turn the mix up a little bit. And yeah, let's check that out.
Brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings.
I'm not really liking the way that's coming out. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to create a new FX channel. We're going to call this FX delay. And I like the effect that this is doing here, so I'm actually going to copy these over. But let's throw this back on my FX vocal bus. I'm going to throw the delay right here in front of the signal chain. So the decapitator and the red light district distortion are affecting the actual delay signal as well, as opposed to delay signal being laid after the distortion is going on. I want to hear what that sounds like. It might crush it a little bit more and have a different effect.
We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know what the world brings. Try to be prepared for when the sorrow sings. We never know.
Like I said, I obviously don't have dude's voice. This might not be the exact way that he did it, but if you're looking to duplicate the effect, this would be a good starting point. So, yeah, if anyone has any other questions that they want me to check out or anything you specifically want to see, I'll try to make a video for it in my spare time between sessions when I'm taking ear fatigue breaks. And, yeah, subscribe or whatever the new people with these YouTube channels say. And, yeah, peace.